Hello, party people. It's your boy Dre. You know what this is. It's Fine Time. I once again am really bad at intros, so I have no idea what else to say. Guys, take it away!
I thought this was a fine time for healing. Oops.
Oh god. Big ups to Fine Time for Healing. And if anyone wanted Fine Time for Healing and they found this, I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry.
I'm not.
Look, they go there for probably like aromatherapy tips and like, acupuncture, and they're coming here and we're just saying fuck and cock and foreskin.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel real bad if anybody wound up here by accident looking for healing. You're not going to find it here.
Yeah.
I feel like the icons are wildly different enough for you to be able to tell the difference, but
no. They are exactly the same. Our
friend of the show, Vin, designed them both.
our vapor wavy triangles is exactly the same thing as Fine Time for Healing. Let me tell you. Shout out to Fine Time for Healing.
Who knows? Maybe somebody's looking for healing and they won't wind up getting hooked on windjammers thanks to you, and it's real therapeutic for them.
Have you played any more since we talked about it last week? Have you done even a little bit? Or
I think when we were messaging. Oh yeah, okay. That was the last time I played when we were just messaging about it last time, and yeah, I had a fine time with it.
Oh, that's right, because you're using Sammy Ho because you're tired of getting boned by his super, yeah. Because it's a toughie. It is really a toughie.
I pulled out tournament win on easy mode, and that might be the best I do.
You know what? That's good enough. What pisses me off is that fucking little twerp, that Brazilian kid. That super makes me insane because it's like doing the Steve Miller thing, right? Oh, I'm going against the wall. JK, guys. I'm like, it's like, my God, you little twerp. Where did you learn that? Do you like how he wins? He just skateboards all across the goddamn court. Like he's like, it's like, go home and be a family man. You twerp. Does anyone say twerp anymore? Twerp. Does that make you old fashioned?
I think it just makes us old.
Okay. I don't know if you guys ever did this in school. I'm a little older, so you may have not done this in your day. You may have had like VHS, but we watched like projector films in school of like, it goes along with the audio track and then you have to flip the projector to the next slide.
You're talking like reel to reel type shit?
No, not like that, but it's literally like camera picture slides almost. Because you have to there's like a little cue and you have to flip to the next one. The teacher flips to the next thing before you have like videos to watch in class about whatever. Okay,
our school definitely had the tech lying around, but we never used it. They were definitely on the videos by the time I was there.
Anyway, here's my point of bringing this up. And one of those, they were probably from like the 60s and 70s, and our school was just being cheap and we're just still using it. We had VHS, but it was still a bit expensive at the time. Anyway, point is, in one of those reels, someone said the word whippersnapper. And the entire class was like, whippersnapper? We had no idea what that word meant at all. So, and then we realized it's some old-timey Wild West word that we said back in the day, but not a single person in our, I don't know, I guess second grade or whatever class. It's like we were just whippersnapper? I mean, we understood the context right away, but anyway. That's enough of that. Hey, video games, guys. Have you played them? Have you heard of them?
I've turned on the bleep boop box a few times.
You have a Pong machine or a?
Mine's got some buttons.
Oh wow, man, that's too sophisticated for me. We have to wait till 1978 to buy one of those. Anyway, I've been playing a few things. One of them being Breath of Fire via Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online. So, like, here's the thing. I played this game in, 2003 for Game Boy Advance. I was not kind to this game at all. Like, I was just like... Because, it's one of the series you always hear about, and it's like... Then you play it, and it's like, this is the thing people like? Like, I don't understand. Like, you could easily just play Final Fantasy IV, or shit, even like Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, or anything better than this. Like, this is just like, and I just didn't get it because, well, for a few reasons. My outlook on this game has changed. So, like I just said, it was just like the resentment of like, oh God, it's just like, this is the thing people like. But not only that, I'm at a different time in my life now where like, it just makes a lot more sense for me to play a game like this. I think at the time, I know, I really resented all that like SNES port to GBA stuff. I hated that stuff. Like, it was cool sometimes, especially when we got games we didn't get before, like some of the Capcom stuff, like Mega Man and Bass, or like a Disney game here or there, right? But for the most part, I was like, yo, this game isn't even like 7 years old, and I just like, why there's like I'm supposed to play this on the go because like, ooh, you can play SNES games in a under a lamp now. I don't know, man. Did anyone else feel this way? I feel like I'm the only one who has like SNES port resentment, but I feel like that's an age thing because like if you really missed out on a lot of SNES stuff, you don't really care about that like I did.
I was just gonna say I didn't have port resentment, but looking back, I don't want to play any of those ports ever again. Like, I was happy to have them in high school on the bus ride, but I do not want to go back to any of those versions of the games ever again.
Okay, but I mean, like, yes, they're inferior. I'm just saying, like, didn't you just feel like you're just looking at the shelves and, like, I played Donkey Kong Country, I played Breath of Fire, I played, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Like, I don't understand why I need to...
I think this might be more of an age thing because when you would have been playing Super Nintendo, you would have been in your early teens. When I was playing Super Nintendo, I was still a kid, early grade school playing Super Nintendo. So by the time Game Boy Advance was out, I felt like I was at a vastly different period of my life. I don't know, when I think even now about the gap between Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance, it seems a lot wider than it is in all actuality. I think the only criticism that I had at the time for Super Nintendo ports was just that the aspect ratio was different, so everything seemed a little bit too zoomed in on Game Boy Advance. The
Super Nintendo has a weird aspect ratio to begin with, right? So it's kind of square and weird, So like I get it, but like you're correct about that. I wasn't nearly as sensitive to that at the time, but I was just kind of like, man, enough, but anyway, now that I'm kind of past that and over that, and I'm just sitting here on my couch and I want to play just some SNES not comfort food in the sense that I played it before, because I did, but it's not like I have any like, ooh, it's not a nostalgia thing like, oh man, I really loved Breath of Fire. Even at the time I was just like, come on, can this be over? And I'm not saying that like Breath of Fire now is like an incredible game or anything, that I just wasn't giving a chance, because it's not. In all actuality, I can't really heartily recommend it. It's fucking K. Yes, that's my favorite phrase. It is okay. Right? Like, look, sometimes that's fine. Sometimes you're just craving that, like, that taste, right? Look, sometimes you just want a Big Mac. No, yes, it's a crappy burger, right? But, like, that's what you want. It doesn't, quality be damned, right? So that's how I kind of feel like Breath of Fire. I just wanted to play SNES RPG. Back then, I definitely didn't want to. I was just kind of doing it because, like, oh, everyone said it was so good. Now I realize, no, it wasn't that good. It's just what you had at home. We have Final Fantasy at home. It's Breath of Fire. I don't know, man. But I beat it a couple days ago, finally. It took a little too long. The second half gets, like, super meandering for some reason. I don't know. I had to start resorting to a guide because I'm like, I'm not bumbling to every town and like, you know what I mean? I'm not doing that shit. Anyway, also what I've been playing is a little thing called Ziggurat 2. I should start by saying, if you don't know what Ziggurat is, it's a first-person roguelike. Think like Heretic or Hexen or that kind of like swords and sorcery kind of vibe, more sorcery than swords, if you will, and it's randomized, all that jazz. It's great. I played the first Ziggurat to death so much that I got a platinum trophy at it on PlayStation. I don't usually do that kind of thing, but I just wanted to see everything that game had to offer, so I did. So there's a sequel now, many years later. I think I played Ziggurat 2 and shit, like early 2015 maybe, or 16, a long time ago now. And it's here on PS5. The character designs, I meant to paste them to the notes here so you guys could see them, but like think of like the Voodoo FX graphics box, or like Nvidia, like the mid 2000s, it has like a fairy with like big tits or something, like that kind of art, you know what I mean? Like, that's what these character designs look like. So if you like that type of shit, you're going to be in hog heaven. For me, it's just kind of whatever, it's just your general, like, it almost looks like, I don't know, paladins, but more sexy or something. I don't know. It's strange. If you can imagine that.
I just seen the clip you had posted on Twitter with the carrots, but I didn't find it sexy at all, to be honest.
I too was not aroused by the carrots.
Oh, the carrots are scary, man. And like in the lore section of like the bestiary, it's like if you cook them, or it says something about cooking them and it just tastes like a regular carrot. I'm like, I'm not cooking anything with this face on it. That is disgusting. I am not bringing that out to the table.
That's how you make it
I am
sexy.
Sure if you scooped out the eyeballs that it would be fine, Andre.
Okay, but what about that gaping mouth and all the teeth and stuff? It's like
it's like how we have to prepare all our other food before consumption, and I don't think this is an appropriate discussion topic anymore.
Oh my god. Yeah, oh my god. Yeah, the killer carrots. They returned from the first game. I guess everyone remembered the carrots because I did. Because they're in like all the media, like the glamorous like screenshots of it and whatever. By the way, this is a great if you have a PS5, this game runs at 120 frames a second. It is silky smooth on your balls, boy. It is, woo! It is great to play a game like this at such a high frame rate where you really need it. Anything first person should be 120 frames from now on. I don't care what you have to sacrifice in the process. It's too good to give up. It's great, man. It plays silky smooth. The only thing is it makes really shitty use of the DualSense features. I kind of wish it would, but it doesn't. It's fine. But what's really cool about this game on a roguelike sense is that it has 5 like global difficulty levels. Usually roguelikes rely on like, okay, you unlock some more stuff, it makes your runs easier and whatever. This doesn't do that. I mean, that happens too, of course, you unlock stuff, but this does have a straight up 5-tier difficulty level system, which is great. So like, if you really don't think you'll ever get to those higher tiers because you're not that kind of player, you can turn it all the way down. You can, it's a good bit of accessibility. Right now I'm leaving it just kind of at whatever normal, quote unquote normal is, but I might turn it up too. There's a campaign mode in this game. That's what really sets it apart from the first one, because the first one's just kind of dungeons, lava, castle-y kind of brick stuff, and it's just kind of like one sort of setting, again, which is fine. It's an indie game, so you can't do a whole lot. There's like the same kind of thing I just said. There's also like a town sort of setting. There's like an ice level that I've seen in screenshots, but I haven't actually been to. There's like a Egypt level for some reason. I don't know why. It looks like something, but it's like very like highly stylized, like Hollywood movie Egypt. Like it looks like it belongs on like the Scorpion King or something. That kind of like Egypt, if you will, like Indiana Jones type of Egypt. I don't know where Indiana Jones goes. I've never seen one, but you know what I'm trying to say.
We'll forgive you this time.
You'll never forgive me for that. I've been hearing it my whole life.
I haven't seen one either, so there's no wheel.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot we were partners in crime on that. Oh my god.
You guys can't hear this because it's an audio podcast, but I'm shaking my head.
He is SMH right now, let me tell you. He is SMDH. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, so there's a campaign mode this time where you do like think about how you could probably break up a roguelike sort of one-shot thing into campaign mode. So it's like, okay, you need to kill this boss. So it's like they make you do 2 floors and they make it, you know what I mean? They kind of break up the roguelike stuff into like little bite-sized quote-unquote missions. That's really fun. That's how you unlock other characters. That's how you unlock all sorts of stuff. It's been really fun so far. I've only played maybe, I would say, less than 5 hour. I haven't played a whole lot yet. I haven't really had the chance, but I'm really looking forward to playing this a lot more. Ziggurat 2, definitely, so far it's a thumbs up. I don't know what other systems it's on, but it definitely, if you have a PS5, go for it. It's can't recommend it enough. I think it was 25 or $30. It was really decently priced for what this game does. It's great.
Yeah,
So,
man.
yeah.
I seen the video with the carrots, and I just thought, oh, that sounds good. That looks kind of somewhat interesting. But hearing you talk about it, I'm curious to give it a try.
Did you see the video with the ice Kako demons? There's like 20 ice Kako demons and a.
That is what they are.
Anyway, yeah, that's about all I've been playing. Well, I've been playing more, but I've yammered long enough. So let's say, Steve, what you been up to, biatch?
Look, I got distracted by other news that we'll get to eventually, so I figured that, before I get distracted by other news we'll get to eventually, I have digital games that need clearing out, and among other things, around the holidays, I bought some games from Arc System Works. Let's see if I can't knock out one or two of these. And I did, but, oh boy, not in the way that they ended up on my games I finished this year list, more like games none of you people need to buy no matter how cheap they are list. One of these games is Damascus Gear. It's a dungeon crawler where you where you go through things as a mech to try and pay off your debt. Cool. Here's my $8. My inputs are treated as suggestions, you guys. You know what that feels like? You move around okay, but press the R button to fire, and it only works about half the time. Push the other button to fire the other weapon, and it only fires some of the other time. Use the special weapon with the other button, and it kind of works sometimes if it feels like hitting the enemy. And
I don't know if you guys know the PS1 fighter Criticom. It's like the worst fighter ever made. You should be glad if you've never played it, but like it's the only fighter where I played where you press the buttons and it's treated like suggestions. Oh, low kick. Okay, maybe jump. Nah, not this time. I don't know. I was just thinking of that game when you said that.
It's like it's stuff you might be able to get used to, but then you end up at the end of the first few days, and they make you do a one-on-one fight with another mech, and they expect perfect pitch control out of you in a game that doesn't provide any. And I'm like, I don't have to put up with this shit in the game, which has voice sampling that was fed, which was a talk boy fed through a yak back at the Checkers drive-thru rallies if you're further out west. Like now how old am I? Who remembers the talk boy and the yak back?
I remembered what a talk boy was. I didn't remember what a yak back was, but I think I got it now.
Yeah, the yak back I think was a little bit later. I just remember talk boy from Home Alone, but I totally had a yak back when I was a kid.
Oh, is that what popularized it? Home Alone? Okay.
I think so. Or am I wrong about that?
No,
Wasn't
you could be right.
Home Alone 2, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Home Alone 2, okay. Because I was going to say the only one I've seen is 2, so yeah.
I mean, the voices are in Japanese, but even then it's like, thank God there's text on the screen, because, I don't think anyone
okay, I guess were they
to...
trying to do the thing like they're talking to each other through the mechs or something, through some like...
You have an Android assistant that's supposed to be talking to you in person, but that doesn't really sound right half the time. I don't know. I feel like it's like when you go to, like I said, when you go to Checkers and you just want a large shake, but you end up with 2 deep sea doubles instead. I don't know. Nothing about the game works. $8 down the shitter. The other game I wasted money on. Stay cool, Kobayashi-san. A River City Ransom story. Wow, guys. You mean they made a beat 'em up where I could play as one of the mini bosses from River City Ransom? Sign me the fuck up. Here's another few dollars.
Y'all nostalgia whores are just buy anything, huh? Yeah, I mean, not literally you. I just mean, like, in general. Like, the fact that they even thought, like, they could put this out, Well,
let me tell you about it. I didn't pay that. I only paid, like, a couple bucks for it, or I wouldn't have even bothered, and I know how you like to rag on me for liking River City Girls. Oh, no, they'll give this to anybody with a pulse. This was written by fanfiction.net. One day, Kobayashi was walking down the street, and then time-traveling aliens have appeared from the future. Please help us. And beat up these other guys wearing rubber suits. If you beat up 30 of them, other bosses will appear. There's no real map or anything, so you'll walk from one screen to the other, and you're suddenly in front of a schoolyard, and then in front of a sewer system, and then in a mall, and none of this shit matters.
I don't know why you're critiquing this. It sounds great.
It's awful. I wish it was. It should be fun, but it's not fun to play. You just fight.
I don't know if there's aliens and rubber suits, and then all of a sudden you're at the schoolyard, and then you're at the sewer, and I don't know. It sounds stimulating.
None of these. I mean, it might be fun, except none of the guys are fun to fight. Kobayashi himself has like a bitch slap that starts his opening move, and that's just how they feel. That's just how they treat you as the player. You paid money for this. I mean, and those RPG elements. No, where you go to the store and you get shit. No, fuck you. But here's these bosses where you just gotta keep slapping them again and bitch slapping them again and again. And again, and eventually maybe they'll fall down. And I put up with that at least once. Then they fall down. And then you walk to another scene. A guy shows up, says a few things, walks away. Walk to another scene, have another guy say a few things. He walks away. Steve turns off Stay Cool Kobayashi of River City Ransom Story. Deletes the thing off his thing to open up a gig or two.
You didn't actually beat it? You were just done doing it?
No, I'm not putting up with this bullshit. You have any idea how many games I have to play?
I can't wait till we're done recording so I can go play this.
You sold Kevin on this trash.
I mean, bitch slapping
it is
everybody.
Garbage. It doesn't even look. It looks like they. It looks like they took a Game Boy Advance game and like up-resed it in Mario Paint.
Oh my god!
It doesn't look right. None of these things look like Kunio-kun and Friends, unless you told me they were them.
It's on the package, so people must buy it.
But then I did better things. But Kevin, what the heck were you playing?
What was I playing? A few days ago, Cyberpunk 2077 came out with the 1.5 patch, which included the next current gen versions of the game. I haven't played Cyberpunk since I don't know, maybe 3-4 weeks after launch. So I've been waiting fairly eagerly for them to drop this because I wanted to jump back in. I liked what I played of the game when it wasn't a complete busted mess, but I also was pretty curious just to see how it held up against the launch version. That being said, I guess a lot of the changes that I'm going to note might have been, reflective of previous patches because I haven't played it as they've been gradually updating it. Mm-hmm. And then I let Andre know that they have a 5-hour free trial demo as well. So I'll let him jump in here as necessary too. The first thing I noticed immediately, the driving doesn't feel perfect by any means. It's certainly not as good as something like Grand Theft Auto 5, but it doesn't feel like your wheels are made of melted slippery butter going everywhere. So immediately that was a pretty good upgrade.
Yeah, I can't believe the driving was so bad before. Obviously I didn't experience it, but I mean, my god.
Yeah, well, and like I'm sure you probably weren't blown out of the water by the way the vehicles handle in its current state. But it was that was probably one of, I guess, other than just being outright broken, that was one of the things I liked the least about it at launch. The driving just felt to the degree where even on long trips across the city, I would often opt to walk rather than drive just for not that it was necessarily faster, but it just pissed me off a lot less. Overall, I think the graphics look pretty good. Now the character models I thought were definitely a little bit hit and miss.
It's definitely last gen still, you know what I mean? Like, it's still very, you can tell,
for the characters, but I think a lot, especially just being outside in the environment. I don't know. I think it looks probably better than what I expected. Maybe is that, I don't know. What did you think about the environments?
See, here's the thing with the game. I guess this might be a better way to tackle it. Artistically, this game unfortunately does nothing for me. So like,
Really?
yeah, so like, I love cyberpunk stuff. I love dystopian stuff. Maybe I'm just spoiled by things that I've liked recently, such as like, have you seen Blade Runner 2049? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe I wanted something that looked more like that. Like the sort
I
of dense, dark, huge monoliths of buildings, or you know what I mean? Look, maybe that wouldn't make like a good like video game. I understand. Maybe it's just my personal taste or whatever. But like as it stands, I was just kind of like, it looks like LA in 50 years, maybe. I don't know. It didn't feel like maybe I wanted something like more over the top, like Total Recall on Mars, like that super fantastical kind of like, whatever, and possibly a lady with three boobs. Like I don't know, whatever, but like I don't
that's
know.
interesting.
You
I
know?
I really like the art direction. It's yeah, it's very bright. It's very neon, but it's also like pretty dirty and grungy, and everything's worn out, and all of the screens are a little bit fucked up and flickery, and I don't know, that
Mhm.
that kind of did it to me.
No,
Um,
that is. I like the grimy stuff. I don't like the glitzy stuff. Actually, you
ah,
just you just hit upon it for me. I just figured it out. I love that back alley kind of shit. You know what I mean? Because that really makes that kind of thing run.
mhm.
However, like I don't know that first mission where you go in and like I don't know, you have to save that the android girl or something, right?
Yep.
Like I thought like maybe I don't know like the gun I'm using. I'm not saying I wanted like a Tron ray gun that goes pew with like blue lasers. At the same time, it's just like I guess I'm just using a gun. I don't know. Maybe something about it felt incongruent. I'm sure it's just me. I know a lot of people really like you. You really like the artistic style of this world. For me, it doesn't quite mesh the way I'd like. I
Ah,
guess.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I
Did you
wasn't expecting it either. So
did you fuck around jumping back and forth between the performance and the quote unquote ray tracing mode, or did you
I did
just leave
not
it on?
actually. I probably should have done that for the purposes of this discussion. So you tell me about it. I only played on performance, which was like rock solid, by the way. I didn't
Yeah,
notice any dips or anything.
I don't know. Whenever I have the option, I always just try flipping back and forth. And every game, I always wind up picking performance mode. But I'm usually not that off put by the fidelity mode. In this case, I thought their ray tracing mode felt explicitly. Just like muddy and sluggish in comparison to the performance mode, and to be honest, I didn't really think it looked a whole lot better. I don't know. It's ray trace shadows. I couldn't really tell the difference in gameplay, but maybe just because I was kind of stuck on how sluggish it felt. So definitely, performance mode was my go to, as it usually is.
Okay, yeah, I didn't really. Well, the thing is, like when you add ray tracing to something that was like explicitly made for like last gen, sometimes it doesn't really work out
Mm,
right. Like, I mean, you could have like cross gen stuff. Like, I did you played Miles Morales, right? Like,
yep.
did you? Okay, yeah. I don't know. Like, by the time I played it, they had the performance RT mode that wasn't available at launch. So like I did it that way, and that was like kind of the best of both worlds, even though
Mm.
the fidelity wasn't like great. But I tried all the modes on that, and I'm like, I totally understand why you'd want to play this at like 4K, like 30 ray tracing or whatever. If it really does like a top quality job, it doesn't sound like Cyberpunk does though.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really interested, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But when Horizon comes out in a couple days, that's the one that I'm really keen on seeing what the difference looks like there.
Yeah.
Other than that, definitely a lot less of like visual artifacts and glitches. I know before, when I play, like one of the biggest things, all of a sudden there's zero NPCs, or you're driving somewhere kind of on the outskirts of town, and you fuck your car up because it drives like shit, and there's like no other cars for miles, so you just spend minutes like walking across this completely empty, deserted city. I haven't seen anything like that yet. There's definitely a couple of like minor graphical things that I've seen, but overall it feels a lot more polished. Did you kind of hit any hiccups like that so far?
No, I didn't see anything too crazy. Um, the only thing I noticed is when I was making my character and I was switching back and forth between the penises. The uncircumcised one didn't have any like physics, but the circumcised one did for sure. When you turn it on and off, it just starts wiggling, man. If you want to go circumcised,
physics, I think from the video that you sent us this morning, jostle maybe would be the right word. Is that?
Yeah, it definitely jostles around. It is something. But the uncircumcised one, that may as well be like a dummy in class, like in health class or something. That thing ain't moving at all, even in a hurricane. But no, I didn't really notice anything wild. Like, yeah, I of course I've watched a million videos. I'm well aware of how glitchy. I mean, who isn't, right?
Mm.
I've watched all the Digital Foundry stuff from a year ago, or now longer than that. Yeah, no, I didn't notice anything wild. I didn't have any crashes or weird hiccups. Like I said, I didn't even notice a frame drop. Like that thing was rock solid. It was great. So. I don't know, maybe when it gets cheap or something, I'll pick it up and give it a full shot. Maybe if I really sink myself into the story, I feel like I could get into it, you know?
Do you think you're going to keep digging at least through the rest of the 5 hours in the trial, or have you kind of just seen enough to bail?
No, I think I'll play more. I think I'll play more of it, yeah. Just because, it's hard sometimes with a game like this. Sometimes it doesn't really reveal itself to you. Like I said, if it has a good story, I will get into it. And the other stuff won't really matter too much to me. So,
well, if I see online that they've done a early 1.5 penis patch, I'll let you know. It might enhance your enjoyment.
The 1.5 patched penis.
Patched penis. 1.5 PP. Oh,
all right. I'm gonna move it along. Everything's going off the rails. Other than that, I mentioned last episode that I've got my Windows XP computer hooked up to my Tube TV down here. So I've been fucking around with that. I haven't really done a deep dive into anything, but I've been playing like Need for Speed 3 and SimCity and The Sims and Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, which I think the PC version is excellent, by the way. I've played the PS1 version a little bit, and it's shit in comparison.
That's the only one I've played, actually.
The PS1
was the
version?
PS1, yeah.
Yeah, the PC one it's interesting because they're like the cutscene at the start is pretty much exactly the same. A lot of the character models are the same. A lot of the environments are pretty close, but also a lot of what you're actually doing in I don't know if you would call it the quest, just like kind of the environments that they give you to work through is quite a bit different. So yeah, okay. if you're feeling nostalgic for Harry Potter someday, you definitely can't get that on Steam or anything, but I'm sure there's ways to get it if needed. I also spent hours trying to get the original Half-Life to work on that computer. Now I have two physical versions. One is the original version that was released, that was published by Sierra, and then I've got there's like the Half-Life anthology that was actually published by Valve. That one came out maybe a little bit later into the mid 2000s. So the one from Valve, obviously, even being that early, you still need to connect to Steam to be able to bypass the DRM. And Steam no longer is supported on Windows XP. It looks, from what I've read online, that there's ways to fuck around with it and trick it into working. And then the Sierra published version definitely needs a patch because it keeps saying insert the disk into the CD-ROM drive, and it's in there and it won't identify it. So it wants you to patch. When you go to update, it wants to take you to, I think it's just Sierra.com. And so I went there and it was like women's handbags or something. The patch was definitely not there.
Well, Sierra got ate up by Activision some time ago, so
Did you at least get a new purse, or like?
No, I don't know. Actually, I wound up getting into like Steam forums and finding a link that I thought maybe looked semi-legitimate, and then all of a sudden the forum was like, whoa, we're not letting you access this. It looks pretty malicious. So I guess if I do decide to play Half-Life, it's going to have to be on my modern computer. Other than that, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, surely on Steam you get Half-Life for 99 cents or something, right? Like,
yeah, I've got like Half-Life and then Half-Life 2 and like all of the expansion packs on sale on Steam a year ago for like $5 for everything. Okay, so yeah. It's sitting there. It just felt appropriate to play it on a era appropriate machine, but it's not happening.
I was just going to say that I forgot all, until I saw your notes. I forgot all about that. Sierra had first gasp at Half-Life Publishing.
I forgot that too, because they're the ones who canceled it for Dreamcast. I remember.
I was more optimistic for that one because I didn't expect that they would shove Steam down your throats, but the handbag website kind of put a halt to everything there. Other than that, I've still been playing Arceus or Arceus, Steve. What's
Arceus.
Arceus? Okay. I've still been putting quite a bit of time into that, and Steve and I are going to have a little bit of a short spoiler roundup, but we're going to save it for the end of the show here, just so anybody that doesn't want to hear about that can tune out a little bit early. So it's coming.
Big spoiler hours at the end, by the way. Yep, so all the way at the end. But yeah, that's great. We will be right back, and we're going to talk Nintendo Direct right after this. This Nintendo Direct discussion is definitely not brought to you by Truck Nuts, also known as Truck Nuts but with a Z, Truck Balls, Bumper Nuts, Bumper Balls, Cargo Nads, Drive-Thru Danglers, Trucksticles, Hitch Nuggets, Highway Hangers, or simply Balls on a Truck. Alright guys, it's Direct time, and I just want to start by saying to Steve and Kevin here and everyone listening, I wish I was one of those YouTubers that did like live reactions. I don't think I ever made a sound out of my body that happened when Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes like flashed across the screen. I made a really strange sound. It was wild. I didn't know my body could do that.
Can you reenact it for us?
I don't know if I can. It was a cross between a gasp and like sort of a pearl clutching sort of Southern lady, like, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, so if you could kind of imagine those two things together.
Is there something significant about the title that made you feel that way?
No, just warriors, man. That was the only word I needed.
All right. See, that's because I've been going over it. Okay.
No, just who gives a shit? Steve, I know you give a shit because you give a shit about Fire Emblem, but like, you know, the first game sold like 3 million copies. You know what I mean? It was popular enough. It's not, you know, it's not the other Nintendo themed ones, but it definitely did numbers. And I love that game. I fucking love that game. It took me a long time to get through it all because they had to release it a week before Super Mario Odyssey. But I love that game, you know, and I'm glad there's a sequel. I really hope whoever worked on that one now, God, what, 5-ish years ago? So working on this one. Yes, I know it's Omega Force, but there's turnover. I just hope the same team comes back. Steve, I guess you're going to tell us about some story. How does this relate story-wise from what you gleaned?
It looks like it's taking place during. It looks like it's like an alternate storyline to the Three Houses game, because I thought they'd pull an Age of Calamity and do another before story, because no matter what path you take in the Three Houses story, they show you the very end of a thing that looks very intriguing, and I wish they would touch on in a Warriors game, and they didn't do that here. But this will be fun.
So are you saying this is like Three Houses the After Years or something? Or
I think this is Three Houses Gaiden or Three Houses Alternative.
I'm obviously excited, kicking off the very into spring, right into summer. You know what, by the way, I love that Nintendo has occupied that spot lately, right? Whether it's like ARMS or like what happened, Mario Tennis Aces. I love that, like, very into spring or like right into summer kind of slot, they always have like a good one. And I guess this year it's Fire Emblem Warriors. I'm excited. Steve.
So yeah, the next thing up was an update to, well, not too small, but for Advance Wars 1 and 2. It's coming out April 8th, and here's a bunch of features, including the map maker. It's coming back, and we were wondering, well, I was wondering if it was coming back, which really just begs the question, hey, Andre, are you going to make 100 maps for me to play on, or what?
Look, if I actually come across the game somehow, I will make you the crappiest maps known to man. I mean, they are going to be awful. Like, I'll try it. If you actually want me to try it, I actually think it would be funny. Like, if since I don't like these games at all, be like, okay, what do these Advanced Wars players want, right? Like, imagine if me and Kevin, like, made a bunch of maps for you to play. You'd be like, what? This isn't even completable. Like, what are you doing?
Every one of these 100 maps is shaped like a dick. What's going on here?
There's going to be so many of them online.
There's going to be so many dicks. There's going to be so many dicks. I'm surprised I've seen very relatively few dicks on Super Mario Maker 2. I mean, I've seen a couple, but...
Well, I'm sure they all get stomped down as soon as they pop up. There's probably a dick watcher on.
So
level, dick, level, dick.
What is that guy gonna do for work when the Mario Maker 2 servers get shut down?
Yeah, I mean, because he can't. His workload already got cut in half because he doesn't have to monitor the original game anymore because you can't upload to it anymore. This one is going to be like
we need coverage for
Mario
the Splatoon
Maker
3 servers.
Mario Maker dick watching is a pretty specific skill.
Are we sure like Kit or Krista didn't like get offered that job? That's why they left or something. Look, okay, we can't have Nintendo Minute anymore, but we got something else for you.
All right, you guys. I think if Truck Nuts is sponsoring this segment, we better watch it with the dick talk because they probably don't want it getting inappropriate.
They're gonna get mad.
Yeah, we can't have everybody focus in on the dick.
We got to talk about the balls. Okay, never mind. We're gonna make a bunch of balls in Advance Wars maps. No dicks, just balls. And then, like after that, something else popped up, Steve.
Yeah, No Man's Sky. I wasn't expecting that one. This to me felt like a Super Switch Next project, not something we'd be putting on Switch now.
Can we stop saying bad names for Switch, by the way? I don't care if it's like Super Switch or Switch Next. One of them's going to stick. We're going to speak it into existence. I'm very afraid of this.
Yeah, I like it. Super Switch would be fine.
Oh, my God, you guys.
I looked around, and there's nothing on the thing or anywhere else that says this is a cloud version of the game, so...
Oh, they're not going to do that. I don't think it would do that. They're more talented than that. And less lazy than that. I don't know, man. I've had this on PS4 since launch. Obviously, I've been through all the updates and the whole saga of the thing. I played here and there periodically. I really like No Man's Sky. I don't need another. So, look, maybe if you're just a Nintendo person only, this might appeal to you. But I feel like, Steve, if this ever appealed to you, you've maybe mentioned it at some point, but you haven't. So I don't think even you would give a shit.
I mean, it always looked interesting, but it wasn't on anything I had, and I mean, if there's cross save, I might look into this version. We'll see. We'll see.
It's time to talk about Nintendo's big acquisition, bigger than Bungie, bigger than Activision Blizzard. It's Next Level Games, baby. That was the big one. Flew under the radar last year.
I mean, they put them right to work on Mario Strikers, guys. I mean, I've only been on Twitter being like, so more Mario Strikers? Strikers 3? And yeah, here it is, guys. It's, what are they calling it? Mario Battle Strikers now? It's...
I literally don't know the name. What is it called? It doesn't matter.
It's got a bitchin' cover, and I'm buying it. Did we see the cover on this?
That's the claim to fame, right? You got to do that. Do you like how they're incorporating it into the game now when you do like a super duper 2-point goal? Like,
yes.
That's really cool. Kevin seemed pretty jazzed for this.
Yeah, I really liked the first Strikers. I didn't play I have the Wii version. I didn't get near as into it at the time, but I'm ready for more
I think that's
Strikers in
way
my
better
life.
than the Cube one, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
way better
I don't know.
personally.
I played it a bit, and it was yeah, it didn't like blow the first out of the water.
Okay. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I know most people I talk to like the Wii one agree with me, like the Wii one better.
Mm.
By the way, it plays like the most jammin' song when you on the Wii disc channel, like before you start. That
It
shit's
does.
anyone who knows what I'm talking about right now, that shit is great. That should be a jam of the week sometime, even though it's like a 5-second loop. Um, no, like, look, obviously, like in the last like maybe 10 years, we kind of backed off the Mario sports. They're doing it, baby. We got tennis and golf back. We got this. This is it's kind of exciting to see this push for it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, they were showing off features like customizable equipment that changes stats a bit, and 8-player teams. I mean, 8-player games with 4 on a side. We can all be on a team if we so choose. I just hope this takes that, because I know last year they put out golf, and even though they put out patches and things since, it wasn't exactly strong. It wasn't exactly the best for some people. I just hope this is.
I don't think for me the problem with golf was like the mechanics of the golf itself. It was just that's the story mode felt very like sterile. Whereas this, I think all they need to do is make the soccer as solid as it's been in the past, and it'll take.
I think so as well. I like that in the sort of trailer there, they showed I forget whether it was like Peach or Daisy or someone getting slammed up against the electric fence and getting electrocuted, which is just great. Because you know why? I swear to God, like there are so many people who are like, oh, they'll never do Mario Strikers Charge again because people get electrocuted and Nintendo won't do that now or something. I swear people have said this. And I swear that's why Next Level Games put it like 5 seconds into the trailer. Bitches, we're gonna shock you. Like
well, I think that was the thing, because Next Level was gonna do what was it? It was like a volleyball wrestling game that they actually did a prototype that got shut down because it was too violent. Mario Spikers, right? So maybe that's where some of that like
that might have been a bit much when you look at the renders and things.
True, okay, I get it, but like in this, you gotta have you gotta look. I'm not playing a Mario Strikers where I can't really throw Charge and Chuck into an electric fence. I'm sorry, I'm not playing. Like it has to be there. Sorry.
Oh no, I think we're gonna have a good time in June.
Yeah, for sure. Is that also June?
June is loaded.
Well, like after like Horizon's coming out in a couple days, right? From this recording, like that's already like February here is already getting the kind of, and then like we hit March and it's just like fuck me. If I can afford anything else besides Gran Turismo 7, I mean, Jesus. Oh, and for me, and this only matters to me, that Taito Egret 2 Mini comes out like the same day as Gran Turismo 7. My bank account's going to be decimated.
What's the price tag on that?
Oh, it's a lot because I'm getting like the paddle too, like the twisty knob.
Oh no!
Right, so this is probably like 250 American for the whole set.
Probably at 300. I'm probably looking at 300 with all the components I'm getting.
Wow!
So like,
oof. It's a pricey day.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a deal. But I already pre-ordered Gran Turismo 7 with like Christmas money, so like because my parents never know what to get me, so my mom got me $100 PSN card. So like that's what I use it on. Okay, guys, very big news. NBA Jam confirmed for Splatoon 3, baby. Salmon Run. Oh yeah.
But it's okay because that trailer also showed that we have NBA Jam moves of our own.
Yeah,
so we can pass the eggs to each other and into the bucket, which also means when we all play, there's going to be a lot of from downtown when we're playing online, which means Andre and Kevin might be looking for a third and fourth partner that's not Steve sometime soon because he can't buy a bucket.
If you don't give me a boom shakalaka, I ain't playing with you. I'm just telling you right now.
Squid laka laka.
I think
No!
there's a good chunk of listeners that are real confused where the NBA Jam reference is coming from right now.
Look, we know our audience is old, okay? Come on. Like, there's no
No, I know,
12-year-old listening to us.
like why it pertains to Splatoon specifically.
oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry. I guess I should say, there's an enemy in almost said Splatoon Run and Salmon Run to Splatoon 2 where like anyone who's played Salmon Run, you have that enemy that opens both its hatches and you have to throw a grenade in there so it explodes off its little wings. We always call that the NBA Jam because it's like shooting a fucking 3-pointer. It's so hard to get that thing in there. It's ridiculous. You have to do a Steph Curry like half-court 3-pointer like to really get that thing in there. So that's why we call that enemy NBA Jam. He's back, baby.
Puts up a brick.
If that wasn't obvious.
You should have known that already, audience. God, don't you know our every like inside joke? So something appeared that I wasn't expecting to appear, Steve.
Yeah, remakes for Front Mission and Front Mission 2 by the Panzer Dragoon remake people.
Can we get Panzer Dragoon 2 first, please? Like, what happened to that? Can we do that?
Square Enix handed them some money, and when you're a developer that makes games for other people, you kind of gotta go with who's writing the checks, right? So,
does anyone okay, I understand, like, this is one of those SNES era, like, Square games that is sort of, like, I don't want to say legendary, but known, but we didn't get, but we got in other forms later or whatever, but, like, Front Mission, does that mean anything to anybody who isn't, like, 30 plus? I don't know how many people are going to care about this. Do you care about this?
In that context, yes, because yes.
Okay.
Because I want to play them.
Has Kevin ever heard of Front Mission?
I've heard of Front Mission, but it's definitely it's not in my wheelhouse for sure.
Yeah, well, it's neither of our wheelhouse. We're too dumb to play Front Mission. I can assure you.
You're asking Steve, the guy who plays strategy games, if he wants to play the grid-based strategy game.
I don't know. You just got done dinging on Damascus gear or whatever it's called, right? So, like, maybe, I don't know, you're mech'd out forever. You're going to throw away your copy of Daemon Ex Machina, like, right now on camera.
That's how that works.
Nothing. Are we done with Front Mission?
Did anyone actually play Left Alive? Because I don't know. I've heard that it was garbage.
So, like, shortly after that, they showed that the Star Wars, the Star Wars. I just call it the Star Wars. Why would you really be called the Star Wars, huh? The Star Wars, the Phantom Menace.
Go see a Star War.
They showed that the Force Unleashed is coming to Switch, but it looked like ass. I used to think that game looked really good. Was that the Wii version they were showing or something? Because I used to think that game looked good.
Look, I had a fun time renting it however long ago. It was fine, but I don't want to play it anymore.
On Wii though, right?
Yeah, on Wii. It was a fine.
Did anyone play this game on 360? Did everyone see the trailer I saw?
I have played this game on 360. I also have to wonder, do you just remember things looking better than they did in the mid to late 2000s?
But that's what I'm trying to determine. You know what I mean? Like, I may be doing that, which is totally fine because that game is ancient, right? And I've just played, Fallen Order and stuff like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, we're way past that now. But I'm trying to actually ascertain if that's a Wii version because a lot of people like that version because it was different, I don't know. It just it was just shocking that they would show something. I mean, I remember I was watching this direct with Vin, and he was like, at least it runs 60 frames a second now. And I was like, it better run 60 frames a second. Look at this fucking thing. Have you seen, are you looking at this? It better run 240 frames a second with these graphics.
I don't want to run us off the rails, but while we're off the topic, I thought the show looked a lot worse than I would have expected it to on Switch 2. I wouldn't have expected it to look fantastic, but it was looking pretty rough.
It was looking mad rough. It was looking real rough. I think I'll be playing that on PS5. Thank you.
Yeah, that was.
You're not even going to indulge yourself at work. You're not going to play an inning or two on break.
Look, no, I can't. I'm sorry. I'll bust out Super Baseball Simulator on Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online or something if I want a couple of baseball jollies on the go. Like, I'm
Baseball
not buying
jollies.
MLB The Show 22 on Switch. I'm not doing it. At least if I play that, it's free and I get a SNES trumpet. You know? I have to hurt myself.
Just think about baseball.
Shut up. So I would like to just do one of my favorite activities that I don't do enough, which is dunk on Chrono Cross. The fact that like everyone's just talking about, ooh, we get to actually play Radical Dreamers, like instead of actually talking about Chrono Cross, I think that just about says it all, huh?
It worked on me.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Because I was already in the impression, like, it's been far from removed enough from Chrono Trigger, one of my favorite games ever. Maybe I can look at this with a untrained, far enough removed, and maybe look at it unbiased that way. But then they're like, "Oh, here's Radical Dreamers. Okay, now I need to get this."
Okay? I guess I don't like Chrono Cross. I've never liked Chrono Cross. I am not going to play it again. And that playing a text adventure from 1990 whatever, I'm not doing it. Sorry, it's not going to do it for me.
Isn't just the prospect of taking Satellaview stuff and like retrofitting it for modern day interesting? At least though, can that be a thing now?
I think this is a special case. I don't think this means we're going to get like, that other chapter of Famicom Detective Club or, any of the Satellaview lost stuff or, Wrecking Crew 98 or something. I don't think is like coming down the pipeline. Right. So
Wrecking Crew 98 was a retail release.
I'm just saying, I don't think any of that stuff is happening. Like, I'm just
saying they can put it on the service at any time, you guys. You don't need to keep leaving me hanging like this over here in the United States.
Leaving you hanging? Do you have a torch on your fucking wall for Wrecking Crew 98 as well? Like, how many of these do you carry?
Well, seeing as a lot of them paid off at this direct, I think it was pretty good today.
How long did it take, though? Was it really worth it? You're just holding these things, man.
I'm not holding them. The wall is. It's, they're load-bearing torches.
Oh, my Lord.
They really bring the room together.
I don't know who nominated me to say is the phrase "is mouthful mode" the most memeable Nintendo material in years, but I'm not saying it.
Okay. You will never say such a thing.
This is not material that I wrote, and I'm certainly not perpetrating it like it is.
So, guys, they had another trailer for Kirby in the Forgotten Land, and I gotta ask: is mouthful mode the most memeable Nintendo material in years?
I don't know. Have you been on the internet the last week? I mean, this is like reaching Bowsette levels of like saturation.
Have you seen our logo as provided to us by friend of the show, Lucente?
Yes, go to Fine Time Podcast if you want. Yes, we got in on the act as well, unprompted. Guys, this looks fucking great. This is great, isn't it? I never thought, like, I don't know, maybe it's just the right time. Kirby needs to do this kind of fresh thing after Star Allies, which I didn't think was that good. Like, you really need to shake it up. They took a few years off. I think this is going to be kind of excellent, actually. I'm really looking forward to this.
Hopes are high on my end, too.
Are you waiting for me to join the club? Because I don't know. I've never been big on Kirby, and I see the appeal here. It's definitely something new and ambitious, but I don't know. It hasn't done it for me yet. If you guys play it and you are ranting and raving about it for months, then maybe.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It looks despite the perspective change to 3D, it looks so close to the normal thing that I'm not sure it's going to catch anybody who doesn't already give a shit like you. I mean, it might. I mean, look, obviously I'll play it, and if it's really that stupendous, I'll insist. But I
don't want to be a wet blanket, but is the sheer ambition of this compared to what Kirby usually does? Is that like more of a motivator than actually it looking outstanding?
It's both, actually. I think it looks outstanding, and the 3D is sort of secondary to me. I'm just kind of glad they're getting back to like some what looks like some cool ideas, because like I said, Star Allies felt really depleted. Outside of setting like Wispy Woods on fire, I don't really I don't know. I didn't really think the game was that good.
They've been sitting on this same engine that I guess you can call it that, since Return to Dreamland, where you have copy abilities with move inputs from Superstar, and it was good, but they used it for everything on the 3DS. And it was awesome in Robobot, but then it came down a little bit for Star. I liked Star Allies, but yes, it paled in comparison. Yes, something needed to change, and this looks like it.
Guys, I have a question. I have an important question. Is this a safe space where I can be mean to Klonoa? Because I am very often mean to Klonoa, but everyone yells
I liked
at me.
Klonoa on Wii, and I honestly thought you of all people were going to be like, yay, Klonoa, let's go buy Klonoa. So
It's O fucking K. It's not a great platformer. It's a good one. It's cute, and it's fucking fine. Why does everyone lose their mind about Klonoa? It's okay. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you know what? I might actually buy this. Yeah, I played Klonoa back in the day. I played it also on Wii Remake, and it's like, wow, that was the exact same game. I played Klonoa 2 on PS2. Fine, man. They're fine. They're fucking fine. I don't know, man.
no,
Just,
no. You say things are okay. I say things are fine.
okay, fine. I'm sorry. They're O fucking K. I know. Since Kevin doesn't have any deep thoughts about Klonoa, let's let's move it along here.
Yeah, regarding Live Alive, I don't know. I know Steve's jumping up and down for more HD 2D. I've got to wonder if we're going to get it at a point of overuse on HD 2D, or does it have the ability to be kind of a mainstay permanently moving forward? Is it going to get old?
I don't know, Kevin. Are 3D games going to get old? Are games where you drive around cars that look nice going to get old? I don't know. The market will dictate what is old and what is not.
I'm going to be more reasonable than that guy and say yes, it's going to get old. But I think it's going to take a long time for us to get here, and that time is no time soon. We haven't really we haven't really done it that much in this particular engine. You know, we have Octopath Traveler, Triangle Strategy is coming, Dragon Ball, wow, Dragon Quest 3 is coming. Same thing, honestly, same thing. And now Live A Live is coming. I don't think it's overused, especially if they do. And I know Kevin didn't really like almost said Overwatch Traveler, Octopath Traveler that much. Do you think that's part of it? Maybe because you're not really a fan.
You know what? I think the aesthetic is great. When they first showed off the trailer for Octopath, I was like all about that game. I was super excited for it. It was just the way that the story and progression that was handled that kind of put a damper on it for me. And and I think as far as the aesthetic for Live Alive, that's probably a great game to keep doing it, because there was, just watching that trailer, there was a lot of different camera angles. They do some completely from the side stuff. There's that grid battle system. So I think it's just different. It's just different gameplay than Octopath. So I'm not picking on Live Alive. I just do wonder if it's specific enough as an art style that it seems to me like everybody's so hot and heavy on it that I feel like we might be having this discussion in 2 years and we're saying, okay, enough.
Look, if these are the last games to do it, the 3 that I mentioned, that's fine. If it doesn't happen anymore, I'm not saying it needs to continue till we get sick of it. But right now, I'm definitely not. So I'm
even if they can find ways to kind of evolve it and push it forward, that's fine. And as cool as that Dragon Quest trailer looked, it looked pretty much exactly like Octopath, except for the battle sequence to me.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
So I don't know. I just don't want everything to be a cut and paste.
The criticism is sound, but for me, I really like it, so I am not nearly tired of it yet. So
to calm down a smidgen, I feel like the alternative to that is mobile ports that we've been getting when it comes to these remakes, and I don't want more of those. Have you seen what Final Fantasy games looked like before they did pixel remasters? Because oh my god, They are bad.
Yeah, if we do HD 2D all the time instead of that Square Enix mobile aesthetic, then that would be preferable.
Who had a Nintendo Switch Sports on their Nintendo Direct bingo card? Because
I did. It was my free parking space. It was not at all.
I mean, it took me off guard, but then it didn't because you know what happened 2 years ago? We were all locked inside, and everyone and their mom bought a Nintendo Switch to play Animal Crossing. So yeah, it's time to sell more games to those people. And what game did they all play 15 years ago? Wii Sports. So let's make better Wii Sports. At least I hope it's better. We're getting a trial in 2 days.
It's a weird one, isn't it? It's a really strange one because, like, okay, maybe you guys tell me if you had this reaction at the January 2017 presentation. The first game they showed was 1-2 Switch. The second game they showed was ARMS. And I was like, uh-oh. Right? Because I was like, are they really leaning in on this again? And then they didn't. None of the other games were that, for lack of a better term, gimmicky. It's just fine. I really like ARMS. But now, this many years later, it's weird. You would have thought a game like this would have came out in 2017 if they were going to do it. Maybe like the Wii U stink of like Wii U Switch Sports U or whatever that may have been called. I don't know, but like it's weird to do it now, Kevin.
I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought about it as far as mass market appeal. When I seen this, I kind of thought if I want to play, insert Nintendo system sports, I'm just going to play Wii Sports. And I feel like I do think there's still a lot of the people that bought the Wii for sports and for Wii Fit that still have the Wii sitting around. I don't think the 50 plus crowd that was the first console they bought in 20 years took it to the thrift store right away necessarily.
And that's where I think even so, this might have a hard time getting traction because there's a lot of Wii still hooked up in places.
There's no. This is gonna sell like easy. This is gonna be such a big seller. No, this is going to be ridiculous.
The other thing that was different with the Wii was that was very much a like group-oriented system, and I think all of the people that did go out and buy a Switch and Animal Crossing or whatever when COVID first hit, that was much more for an individual experience. I don't think that the mass market looks at the Switch as something that the whole family gets around and plays bowling on necessarily.
Yeah, especially since a lot of people like have Switch lights, you know what I mean? You can't even do that. So, but right after that, Kevin, they showed something we're both interested in a lot.
Well, I don't know. I'm interested in this because I really liked Cuphead, but I'm not going to buy this, and I'll tell you why, because I got stuck as fuck on that goddamn honeybee boss. The same as I did for a lot of bosses before that, but the honeybee boss was I threw in the towel at that point, and I feel unfair. Like a lot of people did that with that game at one point or another. I think if I had to guess, I bet you that 90% of the people that played Cuphead did not finish it, and as a result, I feel like 90% of the people that bought Cuphead are likely not going to be interested in this DLC. Is that fair?
I don't think that's fair. I feel like a lot more people will be interested in that, or they'll want to pick it up. Oh, I got stuck on this boss one more go. I totally agree with you about the honeybee boss because I made a fucking video about it. If you remember when I was playing on PS4, maybe even last year, I was like, that is actually unfair. I remember like, okay, some of the things are picky or like whatever in this game. I died at that honeybee in a really unfair manner. And like it sucked. You know what I mean? Like there are some things that are just not readable. The game, It's a very fine line, right? Because like you can be tough, but it's like, because I didn't have any problem with like the last couple bosses, like the devil or like the last thing before that. Like, okay, they were really hard, but it was fun. It was like you can, you got to react to all these things. You don't know what he's going to do. That Bumblebee shit was annoying. Anyway, yeah, I really, for the most part, I did enjoy Cuphead. And I will be into this as well. I just don't know why we're positioning this as DLC. Why can't this just be like a smaller scope Cuphead, like Uncharted Lost Legacy, or like even Miles Morales, like a shorter, same engine kind of thing? It's weird to be positioning this so long after the fact as DLC. That's the weird part to me.
I have no idea what, but that's been what they've been doing for, I feel like, a while now, because that's what the physical copies have been hinging on. Yes, I know, me and physical copies, but I just felt like I felt like the novelty of having an Xbox game on Switch would have been fun to have on the shelf. Two, there was a lot of people just complaining about Cuphead when this happened, and I really wanted to play that far removed from all of that too when it finally came time for that. So
As I said before, like it's like 70-75%. I don't feel that way about the game. It's just that other 25 where it's like you really shouldn't have assumed I was going to know to do that. You know, it's just enough where it's annoying. But we'll see what you think when you
I
when
don't
you
know.
get around
Back
to it.
to just back to your question about whether this should have been DLC or not, and I'm not real stuck on this opinion, but I think Uncharted is maybe kind of an unfair comparison. Whereas Cuphead, there's 4 worlds with a set amount of levels per world, and I think the intent of this is going to be there's a 5th world that's added to it where there's a measurable amount of game that's being added here, and it's less something that you can frame as just a smaller scope. Is that
Okay. I mean, you could be right. I don't really know much about this project to be honest with you. But so like I was just thinking that because it's been so much time, it's weird to position, oh, here's some more DLC. Well, I guess we're about to talk about a Nintendo game that's about to do that, huh? But like it's
it's
strange, right?
it has been a long time, but I think when it came out on Switch, it picked up a lot of traction, and that's a lot less amount of time since it first came out.
Yeah, that is true.
I think this is probably more geared towards Switch owners than Xbox or PC.
Yes. I also agree with that. Okay, we've waited long enough. Steve, talk about the Earthbound.
oh, you ruined it for everybody because,
No, nobody know. I'm sorry, nobody knows it's on there.
well, I mean, it's a big deal when my favorite game of all time and its not as good predecessor that we only got a few years ago are on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online, and Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online apps, respectively. So, hey, while you're all on there trying these RPGs, can we all play something else while we're on there?
We know they're not going to do that, and by they I mean like Kevin. Whoa, I mean like whoa, I mean the people out there online who just say they want Earthbound, and then okay, what percentage of those assholes on Twitter begging for it will actually play them now that they're here?
Why am I being implicated in this?
I don't know. I just wanted to be.
I
Don't
never
know.
was tweeting at Reggie begging for Earthbound.
Because I'm dealing with, and I'm saying dealing with as if I'm actually engaging with these people of people crawling out of the woodwork. They're like, maybe Earthbound's not so good. No, you people have been begging for this forever, and now you're gonna write all these theses on why it might not be the best, so good to you. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. You're all playing fork knife anyway.
JRPGs hold up. I played Earthbound again on like early 2017, like shortly before Switch came out. I played it on 3DS. It holds up. I never thought it would. I hadn't played it since it came out, and I was like, But now I guess I can play Earthbound Beginnings on Switch. Although I probably won't beat it in 2.5 hours like speedrunner Steve here did. Like,
No, it took me 2 days of very long game sessions to rebeat the game.
well, when I'm
And
still stuck after 2 weeks, I'll raise my fist and
oh
anyway.
no, it took me 2.5 weeks that first time to finish the game on Wii U with the dumpy lighting and whatever else. So that we had to put up with on the Wii U system. I'm just going to bring up, go play Spanky's Quest after you finish Earthbound.
No, nobody is going to play Spank. That's the one we're going to. Not Psycho Dream. Not Super Valus
No,
Force. I'm interjecting myself here, but
I feel like I've got all of the like depressive. I'm being too overly critical news. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC extra tracks. 48 more tracks. That was behind Strikers was probably my favorite news of the show, but I do question them having this come out until the end of 2023, which would work out to approximately every 3 months. I don't know if the casual audience is going to keep coming back for this every 3 months and engaging over and over. I realize it's kind of an evergreen title. I think that we are going to be the ones that are actually playing these tracks as they come out. Am I wrong?
I mean, you're not, but it's built into the expansion pass subscription, and that's really where it doesn't matter. Nintendo's getting their money from us in the passes, and whoever else gives the money. It's not that, and whether or not they come along for the whole ride these next 2 years is entirely up to the purchaser.
No, I think people will come back for this. This is Nintendo's, like, yeah, everyone, yeah, we know, like, Wii Sports, quote unquote, sold 82 million copies. No, it didn't. It was just packed in with the Wii, right? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is Nintendo's best-selling game of all time. Like, it is over, I was looking at this Nintendo financials happened a couple weeks ago. It is over 43 million copies. What I've always said about this game, when it started taking off, I was like, is it going to beat Mario Kart Wii, which is 37? It beat Mario Kart Wii. I never thought that would happen. I thought that was like a once in a lifetime. The Wii sold so many units that everyone had Mario Kart. No, man, this is insane. It only makes the most sense to do this, and I really do. People think we'll be interested through 2023. I do.
Let me phrase this slightly differently. Would it be more profitable if they released all 48 tracks at once for the same cost, or give you indefinite access to them with Nintendo Switch Online?
I would be less interested, maybe, if they did that. I like that they're kind of doling them out.
Do you think most people would be more interested, though? I do.
I don't know, man.
I see this being Smash Brothers-esque because they don't have that anymore. Because even what were we talking about last week? Andre was getting real excited about Mushroom Ridge. Hey, you guys think Mushroom Ridge is coming? Mushroom Ridge, Mushroom Ridge, Mushroom Ridge. And then later that night, there it was, Mushroom Ridge. We didn't even have to wait for other courses to pop up. But the rest of the time, guys like me are like, hey, where's Waluigi Pinball?
And then when we get... And look... There doesn't seem to be any way on God's green earth that they won't have Waluigi Pinball, right? That just, it would be insane if they didn't, right? And that's the thing about this. 48 tracks for $28 and free on a subscription service that we already have is wild. I was halfway to the eShop about to buy it before they said it was included in the thing, man. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm excited, so excited for this. I'm not really like seeing it very three-dimensionally, which is possible, Kevin, but I don't know.
I think the Smash Brothers Fighter Pass example that a lot of people were there for that, so I'll concede.
I just think that I don't know about you guys, but I only played the mobile game for about a day before I saw buy Daisy for $40, and I said, nope, I'm out of here. So all those courses are going to be new to me.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh yeah, buy Diddy Kong for $40. No thanks. At the very end, we had one last thing. Oh, we have one more thing before this direct is over. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Selfishly, I was hoping it was X, because that's the thing I haven't played. And at this point, it is quite literally the only Wii U holdout I care about. But maybe someday, right?
I'm excited for this one. I gotta hurry the fuck up with my Xenoblade 1 Definitive Edition playthrough, but this looks like it's good. I mean, Monolith's been busy over at Nintendo lately. It's really...
Certainly, they're also helping with Breath of the Wild 2, right? Like, I mean, as they did the first one. I mean, we don't actually know that, but...
I know that they're in the Animal Crossing credits. They helped with that.
Everyone is in the Animal Crossing credits. Like, Aiding and, like, is in the
Animal Crossing effort.
Credits. Yeah. Aiding is in the Smash Ultimate credits as well. I don't know what they did, but... I don't actually know how Kevin feels about Xenoblade. I don't think we were talking about it.
I got the first definitive edition and I played it for 5 hours and it was fine and I just kind of fell off of it. It's in the maybe pile.
There will be no British lightsaber sci-fi for Kevin.
No, I totally get it. It's not a thing for
No, it's
everybody.
not.
That's why I was asking. JRPGs are the most suggestive thing we got. Anyway, that's a wrap on the direct. We're gonna take a break real quick, and we'll be back with a couple of big questions and some other finishing stuff too. Be right back. All right, everybody. I took a shower. I washed the Nintendo off of me. You will never speak of Nintendo again. That is not true at all. So here's one thing that happened recently. So a little bit of setup first. In an interview with Famitsu, PlatinumGames' new president and CEO Atsushi Inaba, said that he would like the company to create more games that can, quote, can be enjoyed and loved for a longer period of time compared to one-off, well-designed titles such as Bayonetta. Oh boy. So everyone's taking that to mean PlatinumGames is going like completely live service games. Is that how you guys read that as well? Because I didn't necessarily, but what do you think, Kevin?
At face value, that's what I would assume it is.
I don't know. Like, they're coming out with Babylon's Fall in like what, a couple weeks here. Speaking of games in March, right? Maybe like a 2 to 4 weeks here, which is like supposed to be their first type of game like that. And I'm looking forward to it because you guys know I like live service trash, and I'll play one by Platinum. Sure, I'll try it. But I don't know. Don't you think it might be fine if they do that anyway? How many do you think, like, after Bayonetta 3 and maybe like an Astral Chain 2, whatever, they've been rocking that formula for over a decade now. Do you think maybe it's time that they don't? Like, maybe they should move into another phase of their career, right? Like, I know not everyone's going to like that. And look, I'm the biggest PlatinumGames fanboy there is, right? And I'm saying that. So maybe there is diminishing returns here. I know Astral Chain did pretty well for what it was, but it's not, it was never going to be a game that sells like crazy millions of copies. But
no, I was just saying I thought Astral Chain did very well.
It did.
Being an new IP.
For a Platinum game. I know Kevin famously does not really care for Bayonetta, or like, I'm sure you don't particularly care for their other games too. I'm just assuming.
Yeah, you guys are the PlatinumGames liker here.
Yeah. Is there anything they could do for you? Like, maybe, I know you don't really care for that gameplay style, but in a larger context, a multiplayer context, maybe.
I don't know. I guess
you could get into
if we're honing in on the games as a service thing. I don't have anything against that specifically. We've talked about Destiny in the past. I played Destiny 1, I played Destiny 2, but I played these for kind of like the bulk of the main campaign that came out when they launched and then dropped it. And I'm fine with playing games like that. So if something like that does come out, if it appeals to me, then fine, I'll give it a try. I don't have any expectations for any game that's meant to be played indefinitely, because that's just not how I want to play games. I don't want to play anything for a long period of time. I would rather just kind of get what I want out of it and move on to the next thing.
Right. I as someone who plays like those kinds of games, such as like the Division 2, no, I don't play every single day. You know what I mean? Yeah, they want you to. There's dailies, there's weekly challenges, all the things. And I think that's fun. It's good to get into it for a few weeks at a time, but I can't like sit there every single day. It's a little much. Anyway, he had a few more comments. The money quote to me being this. After he's talking about Bayonetta, he said, however, The projects that we are trying to create for the future will be different in terms of their structure. Considering the changes in the market over the next 5 years or so, I think it is absolutely necessary for us to do this. I'm sorry for being so vague, but I think that's all I can tell you right now.
You know what? From the outside looking in, that statement to me screams like we're seeing where the market is going, and we want to follow along. It doesn't inspire a lot of confidence that we think that there's something that our company specifically can add to this, and excel at. Is that?
I think that is true, but also this almost reads like, oh, everyone used to love Bayonetta and whatever, and they don't anymore. And I don't think that's true. I don't think Bayonetta was ever at the popularity level of this sounds like something a company would say when they've had like devastatingly crashing sales on their games. And that really hasn't been true for Platinum Games. Yeah, some sell better than others, but it's not like Bayonetta was like, one of the top selling games on Xbox 360, but then, Bayonetta 2 was not, well, it was on Wii U. But I think you know what I'm trying to say. This sounds like some sort of a fall from like, we used to be popular and we're not, but they were never that popular, right? So I don't know. I guess they just want to keep up before they feel like they become dinosaurs.
It just could have been from maybe just like thinking from a PR perspective, it would have been better, regardless of the reasoning, for them to come out and say, hey, we've got some big ideas that we think we can push in this direction and do something special with.
That's true. All right, Kevin, I believe you have our next big question.
Yeah, I've got a double header here. So two unrelated but very related stories. First of all, as everybody has heard over the last few days, Nintendo announced that the Wii U and the 3DS digital shops will be closed, kind of based around the following timeline. So May 23rd of this year, you can no longer add funds via credit card. August 29th of this year, you can add funds to these stores using an eShop card. And then sometime in late March 2023, you can no longer purchase anything off of these stores. They did specify that after that March shutdown, it will still be possible to re-download owned items for the foreseeable future. And
I have one other bullet point. It popped up earlier today that the Pokemon Bank app, which was previously $5 a year, is going to continue being online and will be free to use after all this is going on. If you've already got it loaded on.
I was just going to say that the credit card stuff seems a little sudden, right? Like, then you have to buy like e-cards after that? That's a little weird.
I don't know. We've got like it's February. If we've got till May to like just go in and say I want to add my $40 to spend before next March, I don't know. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fine with that. It's just I have everything I want. Of course, I have a 3DS. I got one really late in the game. I bought all the digital stuff I ever wanted to play on it, and it's fine. I haven't bought a game for it in a long time, so I'm set.
So they did also have a FAQ where they kind of addressed what they feel their responsibility or plans are moving forward for offering titles. So I'm just going to read this statement verbatim. They said, across our Nintendo Switch Online membership plans, over 130 classic games are currently available in growing libraries for various legacy systems. The games are often enhanced with new features such as online play. We think this is an effective way to make classic content easily available to a broad range of players. Within these libraries, new and longtime players can not only find games they remember or have heard about, but other fun games they might not have thought to seek out otherwise. And then we currently have no plans to offer classic content in other ways. So let's throw the brakes on this for 1 second and move on to a totally separate story, and then we'll meet back in the middle here.
Okay.
So the aptly named Gary Bowser, a member of Team Executor,
I can't believe that's his name.
No, it's a Doug Bowser.
They're really nailing on the Bowser thing here. So he's been sentenced to a 40-month prison sentence and then about $14.5 million in damages. And that's kind of between various charges that have wrapped up since kind of mid to late last year. So this is primarily relating to a Nintendo lawsuit about Switch modding accessories. So essentially a USB device that you plug into your Switch so that you can jailbreak it and sideload content. There's a few other high profile members of this group that are unlikely to be extradited due to where they're currently located at. If just as a sidebar, if anybody's interested in learning a little bit more about this modern vintage gamer, on YouTube has a really interesting video that kind of goes and looks at previous iterations of this group and some of the key players and their previous legal troubles back as far as early PS2 and Xbox mod chip days.
It's some really juicy shit.
Yeah,
it's really good. Yeah,
it's pretty like Ocean's 11.
Yeah,
but a lot nerdier maybe.
It's very heisty. It's mad heisty.
Yeah, I would say it's recommended reading if you're interested in learning more. So to kind of bring this together, I think first of all, and if anybody feels any differently, please feel free to interject or if you have something to add. But I think everybody here is on the same page as far as any downloading and playing online games for free. Nintendo is well within their rights and should be addressing that to the fullest extent of the law. A lot of times, what the defense of these kind of products are is that it's intended to play backups of own software, or it allows for the use of software no longer available, which kind of brings us into the closure of these shops. So the first thing I wanted to touch on, it seems as a whole, the industry is kind of moving to more of this subscription-based program for accessing classic content a lot of times. How do you guys feel that's going to work out in the long run, as opposed to doing something like the virtual console shop, where you, in theory, purchase these things one time and can access them indefinitely until you can't?
I'm fine with it, because I don't have any real notion of ownership. For me, ownership doesn't really matter to me as a video gamer. I don't care if I own something. I just kind of want to play. Now, that doesn't mean that I want everything to be cloud gaming where things, run like, you know what I mean? No, I like to purchase something and I like to download it, and it's mine insofar as that, like, I have it on, like, stored on my devices. That's great. But a subscription service, basically what, Nintendo Switch Online is, that's also fine, because all these things are meant to be, okay, you know what? This is something I've been thinking about, and this shop closure really brings it here for me. So I feel like, just as an industry, I don't understand when we thought we became entitled for everything to be perpetually available to us at every single moment of every single waking second of our lives. Because they're not.
I fully agree with that.
I don't know where we got this notion. Like, it's something happened in the last 10 years where we're like, maybe it's stuff being delisted from, like, Xbox Live Arcade or PSN or something. Maybe that's when this notion started happening. But it's like, people are like, oh, we can't play this anymore and we can't play that anymore. Well, there's a lot of things we can't play, and it has nothing to do with it being online or not. Why do we think we're entitled to that?
I want to jump in and piggyback on this a little bit, because I brought this up to you guys the other day, and it's something that's got on my nerves literally for years. I always see people begging, okay, when are we going to get Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD on Switch? You know what? Every single fucking Nintendo console since the N64, you could play those titles. GameCube, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker came out. Wii, Twilight Princess was out. You could play Wind Waker via backwards compatibility. Wii U, both of those games came out in their HD form. If you wanted to play those games, if you've had a Nintendo console literally at any time since the early 2000s, you had the opportunity to do so. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying if Nintendo decides that we want to once again reissue these games, all the power to them. I'm certainly not one of the people that are saying, okay, every time they port something, it's like taking away resources from developing a new title.
That's really stupid.
but at the same time, you know what? I would much rather see something ported that maybe didn't like make an appearance on consoles for year after year after year, that maybe it's more likely that people would want an additional opportunity to play. I'm fucking tired about hearing for the Zelda ports on Switch.
Amen.
I need to piggyback on. It's a lot of piggybacking, and I'm sorry, but not sorry.
It's like Kirby Triple Deluxe or right now or something.
Yeah,
we're stacked.
Yeah, I don't do so much of that, the retro collecting thing anymore, but I kind of used to do that when I was in middle school, high school as a hobby, where I would have my NES, Super NES, N64, and GameCube hooked up all at once, and I would go to game stores and get Goodwill and buy boxes off eBay. And the long and short of it is that games weren't available all the time back then. You know, we had to look for things, and sometimes we just never found them. And I get that sort of appeal to wanting everything all the time, but at the same same time, I know it was all boring legalese, but sometimes you do read the back of the manual when you're in the toilet, and on the very back it says, we don't own these games, we own licenses to them, and we kind of have to accept that after a while, that maybe our our copy of Crash Bandicoot's not going to work anymore.
Yeah, but like you notice, like, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but like a lot of those like physical only people always scream about that. You're just buying a license, and it's like, what the hell do you think would happen if Sony decided to start pulling licenses for game? Well, that copy of Destiny 2 you bought 3 years ago, now you don't own it anymore because we can pull the license because we're allowed to do that. There would be fucking anarchy. That's never going to happen. Like, realistically, like, I don't know why they always say that as like, they're never going to do that. People would fucking burn their headquarters down. Like, there's no way.
Well, and a lot of times those arguments are always supported by preservation, and that term is being thrown around as well with the Nintendo store closures. You know what? Like, personally, I just think people's idea of what constitutes preservation is like so entirely warped. 20 years from now, if you really want to play fucking Dr. Luigi or Pushmo World or whatever, those games are going to be available online, and you're definitely going to have to jump through some hoops and probably get an old modded console or whatever. And I think everybody kind of has to evaluate and make up their own mind to like, to what degree are you morally comfortable doing something like that, within what time frame, and there's no solid answer that's okay, fine for everybody. Personally, yeah, sure, if 20 years from now, if I really get the itch that I really need to play Dr. Luigi, yeah, I'm comfortable going in and downloading Dr. Luigi. But there is a difference between people saying, okay, as preservation right now, I need to go fill up an entire hard drive with every single game that was on the Wii U eShop and is available digital only. Like, I don't know. It just seems like bullshit.
Yeah, I agree.
And hey, you know what? I'm a nice guy. If you at me on Twitter and say, Monotone, what are some good games I should get with my hard-earned money that I should get before the shop shut down, that will lose before, those kinds of people make them easier to get? I'll tell you what you should get. I'm not mean like that. I'm not anti all these games going away forever. I'm nice like that. A Kappa's Trail. Everyone needs to download a Kappa's Trail on their 3DS.
One other thing I want to dig on, and I think I'm probably gonna. This is where I'm maybe more likely going to sound like a prick. Personally, I don't think that the wide majority of these things that are digital only that we are losing is that great of a loss. I think if any of these things were really that good, they're probably going to be available on other platforms. Somebody is going to make them available because they're financially viable. You know what? Some of these curiosities are never coming back. Like, boo fucking who, you're not going to be able to download the Mario calculator or the Animal Crossing clock. Like,
yep.
I don't know. I think people are so worried about preservation that they're kind of losing sight of the goal.
I agree.
guess.
No, I'm totally with you on this, and I kind of realized it when when the shop closure was announced a couple days ago that I'm at that place too. We feel so fucking entitled to own every single little piece of digital piece of crap that has ever existed, and I don't understand why we feel that way, especially when there is much bigger issues. We couldn't play any of those Valis games. We still can't play Valis 4 PC Engine, but that compilation just came out, right? We couldn't play any of those. They weren't on the TurboGrafx 16 Mini either, right? Those were completely lost of time from a company that shut down years ago. Someone had to swoop in and become the new rights holder and put them out, and they did, and I'm grateful for it. And that was a much bigger fucking, if you wanted to play those games, good luck to you. Oh no, you can't, but we're going to sit around and complain about oh no, we can't play, Find Me or something. It's I don't care, man. There's bigger fish to fry. We have our priorities fucked, I guess is all I'm saying.
We're getting older, and I guess a bit wiser, maybe.
And they are giving everybody over a year lead time on this. I'm before this happens, I'm going to go in and buy Game and Wario because that's the only place I'm ever going to find it that's not fucking $200 for a physical copy. I probably am going to get Pushmo World because that's maybe the only other thing on the Wii U eShop that I care about that I don't have. But nobody's pressuring anybody to go and put in $700 onto Wii U store credit for shit that you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, can I bring this up for a second? Where are all these Wii U fads coming from?
That's another thing. Yep. Where were you guys?
I bought a Wii U on launch day. I don't know when Kevin got his because I know he had a Wii U
shortly after
during its lifespan. But where the heck were all of you when the system was around? Oh, boo-hoo, the Wii U shop is going away. How about where were you when we were all waiting for game releases? Oh, come on, what? Here comes NES Remix 2. Yay!
So sad. Y'all were so starved for shit.
I mean, if it wasn't for 3DS, forget it.
Oh boy.
I feel like there's more people complaining about the Wii U shop closure than people owned Wii U's.
Yeah, that is true. Oh boy.
And you can fight me about that anywhere you see me.
At Monotone Gent on Twitter,
or on the street, on the bus. I don't care.
I think we're all in agreement on kind of the bullshitty preservation side of this. I genuinely wish that I knew where to find out a little bit more about this. But to me, I think there's two options as to why this actually happens. Is A, that they don't feel that they can justify the costs of upholding these servers and maintaining the store, and they're not making as much money from the slow dribble of people that are occasionally buying something off these stores. Personally, I don't think that's the case. I feel quite likely that they make way more money, even accounting for how small the amount of people is that are shopping on those stores. Alternatively, what my assumption is that financially by having this one last year of getting somewhat of a bigger push and having people want to buy this stuff because they are feeling like they're going to miss out in the long run, that's probably going to make them more money to then be able to turn off the servers and not just have that slow drip of purchases. So I think that it's a financial decision, not because they're not affording to upkeep it, but because they just simply can make more money at this point by rallying everybody.
They sure can.
And just to reiterate, from a preservation standpoint, these games are going to be saved one way or another. You might not be able to play them on your latest platform. Oh, boo-hoo.
Yeah, that leads me to one last thing I want to say before we move on here is that about the hacker stuff. I am so sick of those guys acting like they're fucking Robin Hood, like that they're so virtuous. No, you just want to steal games. Admit it. Like, I don't understand why they act like they have this pretension of like, oh, we just want to, you know what I mean? No, you just don't want to pay for Metroid Dread. Like, okay, I'm not saying literally every person's like that, but you know what I'm trying to say. There's just so much of that, and it's just like, be honest.
It's just there's the guys online that find and dump the old ROMs of things that didn't make it out, and that stuff's good, but then there's the guys who are like, it's good to download a thing to try before I buy, and come on.
Shut up. It's like,
who are you fooling with that?
Yeah.
Well, earlier last year, Kotaku caught some fire, and I don't remember exactly the situation over Metroid Dread, and basically they were like, hey, just so you know, you can already download and play Metroid Dread for free off the internet. And so when this Gary Bowser story came out, I was reading an article by them, and they were extremely sympathetic as far as like, oh, sure, maybe he did something slightly wrong, but is that really worth 3 years of a man's life? Like, it's not like he accidentally slipped and fell and pushed a button on his computer that sold modding devices.
Yeah. I mean, you can't do that, man. That's all there is to it.
And that does cause damage to a lot of people. Like the amount of software that does get stolen does have financial implications on real people's jobs.
Absolutely. And people forget that. And they always say, oh, corporations. No, real people are getting fired, not people who make millions of dollars. Real people like you and me. So, like, that's a bunch of shit. But anyway, moving on from that, Kevin, you've been watching something recently that you've been slightly obsessed with?
I got a little something different. I'm going to talk about a TV show, which is funny because I'm easily the least qualified here to talk about TV shows. I very rarely watch TV, period. And occasionally my wife will be like, oh, there's this show, I think you'll like it, let's try watching it. And usually, I watch and I say, oh yeah, it wasn't too bad, but you go ahead. But last week she said that I've watched the first season of this show. I really think you'd like it. Let's give it a try. We started watching it Saturday night, and as of last night, I think we're 16 episodes in. So it's been a thing for the last few days. The show is called The Righteous Gemstones. So basically what it is I'm
sorry, what is it on? Is this on like Netflix or like?
So this is an HBO show. So for us in Canada, we've been watching it on Crave. I think you guys just have to watch it on HBO Max or whatever.
Right. Okay.
It is if you don't have it on cable. So the show is about some extremely rich, this family of televangelists. It's the patriarch of the family is John Goodman, and then he's got his 3 children, one of whom is played by Danny McBride, who actually is the creator of the show. If anybody's familiar with Danny McBride's work, he's obviously extremely crude, and this show is easily the crudest thing that I've ever seen that he's done. It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
I'm so sold already. That's all you had to say to me. I'm here.
Yeah, I think you guys would both like this. Definitely like morbidly crude quite often. But what I thought was so interesting about this show is it does an extremely good job of on the fly switching genres, multiple times with throughout an episode. So usually the comedy is so outrageous that it's so off the wall that it's completely unrealistic. It can very quickly slide into being very heartfelt. It can get very tense in action oriented scenes, but it doesn't do it in a way that's disjointed. When it does get into like a heartfelt moment, somehow beyond how outrageous it was 5 minutes ago, I feel like it gets you really invested quickly. And I also just kind of want to talk about how they handle the characters on this show. When I think about like shows that have done a really good job of this in the past, I think about Sopranos was kind of the first one that did it really good, where they took, a lot of characters that were really, really bad, shitty people, but you wound up rooting for them whether you wanted to or not in a lot of situations. And then Breaking Bad did this really well as well, when they start out with this character that's a really good, genuine person.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say I'm a Mad Men person, so that's my
Okay.
reference for that. Like, just these shitty people who are like, because that's like my favorite show ever. So like,
Right.
same thing.
Yeah, and Breaking Bad, they start out and you really like this character, and by the end, he's truly evil, and it's kind of interesting because it really blurs the lines of who you're rooting for and why you feel the need to do that. And they do that really well on this show as well. Now, these characters they're certainly not evil. I don't even think for the most part they have bad intentions. But they're
Kevin, I'm going to stop you right there. They're televangelists. Of course they're evil.
Very narcissistic, I think is the easiest way to describe it. But there's some pretty deep character development there, and I want to talk about just one specific part. This is a few episodes in, so this is maybe very slightly spoilery.
Okay.
But
okay.
Danny
it'll wet
McBride's
my
character, he's probably the like shittiest of all of them. And maybe in the fourth episode or so, he sits down and he actually prays and he like honestly and earnestly prays, and this was as innocuous as it sounds, was really mind-blowing to me, because the entire time I was sure that these people were essentially atheists and knew what kind of racket that they were running, and to see that he actually was like sitting there by himself trying to pray was a fairly big character development moment. So yeah, that's kind of a rough rundown of why I like this show. I won't get into any specific plot points, but it's definitely worth watching.
I'm here for it. Is Danny McBride actually in it, or is he just like a?
Yeah, he's the eldest of John Goodman's sons, and definitely one of the main characters.
Because as you can imagine, Eastbound and Down is like one of my favorite shows like of all time.
I haven't watched Eastbound and Down, but after watching this, it's on next on the list. Maybe I'll end this off on a quote where there's a boyfriend and girlfriend. The girlfriend's one of the daughters, and she tells her boyfriend, "Oh, I'm getting a little bit wet in my panties, and it ain't my piss." And the boyfriend says, "Good, save your piss for my chest later."
Wow.
So that's what we're dealing with.
That's my kind of show. I'm here. You sold me. I was actually going to position this as sell me on Righteous Gemstones. I didn't have to say that at all. Holy shit. We're ticking all the boxes.
Yeah, I'm queuing those up when we're done here.
That made me sound like a piss freak just now, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like I'm here for this.
Yeah, if you guys give it a few episodes, let me know how it goes. I'm interested to chat about it.
For sure, I'll bum my friend's HBO Max or something. I'll definitely do this. So, one last thing, as we said at the beginning, we're going to do. Kevin and Steve are going to talk about their wrap up. They have both beat Pokemon Legends Arceus. This is your warning right now. If you have not beat it or you don't want to hear about what's going to happen in this game, tune out now. We'll see you next time on Fine Time. Anyone else sticking with us, you guys go ahead.
All right, so I think the consensus was I'll kick this off because I'm the newbie, and then Steven as the seasoned expert can come in and tell me exactly why I'm wrong.
That's the plan.
On our previous our previous creative endeavor, I think we talked multiple times about how I seem to develop this style of talking about games where I say I really like it, and then I like proceed to shit on it for specific reasons, and I'm about to host a masterclass in doing that. I last episode I had talked specifically about some of the tech problems, and I think that as I continue to play after last recording, it's worth again bringing them up because it continued to get worse. I talked about the pop-in at that time. But beyond that, anti-aliasing in this game is 100% non-existent, whether you play docked or in handheld, like jagged edges to the point where it like completely distorts what some, architecture and things are supposed to be. Steve, I'm curious if you've seen this, and I don't. It was bad enough that it seemed genuinely glitchy. A lot of times when you would go into a cave that's not a cave, that's actually part of the world, but where you have to go in and enter it, and it loads in a new area. When you're close to the door and you're by the light source of that cave, there would be a line around your entire character of like white pixels that would vibrantly glow, and it was just stuff like that to the point where it was very off-putting and continuously was like, hey, you're playing a game and there's pretty significant tech issues with it. I think that the overall Pokemon has this thing where there's a lot of people that don't even play the game that really like to attack it for one reason or another. But in this case, I keep seeing people online saying, geez, for such a popular franchise that's made so much money, they really should have been able to do a lot better with the tech. And I completely agree with that sentiment. I think it was very invasive as I was playing. Did you kind of wind up feeling that way, Steve, too? Or
as we got along, things with the cave and even going in the cave I felt like there was like this weird... it was like almost like a static on your television quality to the characters when we were like, not necessarily a Pokemon, but when there's that part where you do the escorting through the cave and because the guy's walking you through, and the two people didn't look like they belonged there at all. It just didn't look right. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That was extremely disappointing to me, the tech issues that the game had. One other thing that I'm gonna kind of shit on a little bit is the story. And you know what, I think I'm already predisposed for a lot of games where unless I'm really engaged in the story, I'll pay very slight attention to the text that's going through, but I'm definitely not digging into the finer details. I think regardless of that, I would classify the story in this game as actually bad, not just that it didn't engage me. And I think the biggest problem for me was the way it handled a lot of the characters. So there's the Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan, and there's the leaders of those two groups. But then there's like other members of those groups that kind of come in and are part of the story for each of the frenzied Pokemon in that section of the game or whatever. None of these characters really had a chance for any sort of development or even really a strong reason for why they were there. This got worse as when you get to kind of starting in the end game, there's the shopkeeper Volo. Sorry. So Yolo Volo, he all of a sudden becomes a really big important part of the story, but then he's with that like witchy lady with the big hat. I have no fucking clue why she was there. All of a sudden you're at her house. Was I just paying absolutely no attention, or did like this section of the story make absolutely no sense?
Well, that was for people like me who played Diamond and Pearl. They're trying to give you big nods to people who appeared in those games.
So if you haven't played those, you're like completely in the dark.
But that's the thing, Kevin. Pokemon's never been big on the story. I like to have they tried in Black and White to actually do something more substantial, but then they gave up again. But up to that point, if you wanted a story in Pokemon, you had to look at things on bookshelves or other supplemental material in the game. Story was never at the forefront of Pokemon. You're right.
That's fine if it's not at the forefront, but just like let it not be at the forefront. If the expectation is that they're bringing in these characters that somehow relate to the original Diamond and Pearl, like I was completely fucking thrown for a loop when that lady came in. I have no idea why Mr. Yolo, I don't know, he just like looked sketchy, so I always thought maybe he was kind of a bastard, but it turned out he was fine. The fucking chef that is just like there to feed your group soup after you come back from your expeditions turns out to be an asshole. That didn't make any sense at all to me, why that guy came in and like the chef wants to fuck with you. I don't know I just would like to
You're
reiterate
not
that I think
saying
the
anything
story
wrong, Kevin.
is bad. That being said, now, honest to God, I'm not saying it's going to be at the absolute top, but I fully expect at the end of this year when we start talking about Game of the Year discussions that this game will be on my contender list. Just because the moment to moment gameplay is it's actually just really different than anything I've ever played, and it's very gratifying. Even outside of kind of the bulk of the main gameplay loop, when you get to the bosses, at first, so the way the bosses are structured, for anybody that doesn't know, it's completely different than when you're fighting any of the other Pokemon. You're given these bombs. Basically, you have to take the bombs, throw them at them, get them to a point where they're weakened, and then you can attack them with a Pokemon. At the same time, they're attacking you, and you basically just have to dodge whatever kind of attacks they're doing in one way or another. When I first seen how the boss battles worked, I thought it was very disjointed from the rest of the game. But as I went on, I think it was a nice contrast to give a little bit of reprieve and kind of have a bookend to the end of those sections. That being said, I don't know if for the final boss that was the best way to handle it, but I also don't know that there really would have been any other way to do it, because the Pokemon battles themselves, just when you're out exploring the world or battling other trainers, are in this game, specifically compared to any of like the earlier Pokemon games that I had played, it's designed to be very fast paced, and a lot of times you can one hit other Pokemon. They're very upfront and apparent about what the weaknesses and strengths are. You don't have to memorize anything. When you look at any of your Pokemon, it'll give you a little icon saying, "Yeah, fucking."
You mean you didn't memorize the chart they gave you at the beginning?
I did not.
They gave you that big chart for you to look at. And
No, I appreciated them giving me the symbols all the time. So I don't think that they could have just done like a regular Pokemon battle to end the game. It did seem maybe a little bit anticlimactic.
no, you're right, but this is, and then that's the thing. Excuse me, I was definitely having more fun with things in between story beats, as I indicated the first time, and believe me, I'm definitely gonna go back and finish my Pokedex. But I do have a lot of I do have some faith in what's going to happen in the future, because spoiler for Kevin, well, no, not really. You gave up on it. The Ingo, the weird train conductor guy, he's from Black and White.
Oh, the guy with the weird eyes.
The guy with the weird eyes, who's like, he's also from out of the, he's also fallen
Right.
through, and blah blah blah. I saw him like, oh my god, that was a cameo for Steve. I'm like, that was them saying, we know, Steve. We know you want Black and White stuff. Just keep your pants on.
So then do you think the implication is that they're going to wind up like bringing in DLC that comes in and
I
does
don't know.
Black and White stuff, or there's going to be a sequel?
I think I know. I think they got a. Excuse me. Legends sold a lot already, so I think they're already going to try this again. And Unova, where Black and White take place, is ripe for this sort of thing. Whether you do it before Black and White takes place, or even after Black and White take place, and have a Pokemon destroy the thing and have to explore a wrecked version of it, that could be fun. But I'm just saying, like, to say it was story driven was generous, because even though that was weak, they gave it an effort, like a solid B on the story in Black and White. So you showed me Ingo, and they're like, they at least have Black and White on the mind. I don't know how he might come up in the post game, but that he's in there at all is shows to me, Steve at home, that they're thinking of me at least a little bit.
Well, that is a little bit inspiring, because honestly, if they come out with another Legends game in the same style, I'm absolutely there for it. And you mentioned you'll finish off the Pokedex. I do plan on at least catching one of each Pokemon, not like filling out the entire Pokedex where you've like gone through and done the tasks with them necessarily. But yeah, I don't know that I've probably put a good 6 or 7 hours into the end game so far already, or the post game. And yeah, I'm not getting tuckered out at all.
I gotta hop back in. I kind of got a bit lazy because direct news and replaying Earthbound is hard work, har. But I'll be back on it soon enough, I'm sure.
Well, should we wrap this up because it looks like Andre is gonna kill himself if he
No.
hears Pokemon one more
No,
time.
you guys talk to
Pikachus.
Pokemons. That's fine. I'll stay awake while editing this. It's fine. I promise.
I've had fun playing this with a new guy. I get DMs from Vin, friend of the show, Vin, sometimes about Pokemon, and that's fun. But playing this with a relatively newcomer, that's been fun.
Well, I'm glad I had you there to guide me because there was a lot of things that I was confused as fuck about. So it was nice having some support.
All right. Are we Pokemansed out? We done with the mans? Okay, I guess this show is outie too. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Once again, as always, go to Find Time Podcast on Twitter. In the bio, you'll find out how to follow all three of us. And just follow Feed in general. We do fun stuff. Till next time, see you guys later. Bye. There's something about Drive-Thru Danglers that gets me every time.
Truck nut.